what's up? Big Earl, northtownsound. How's it going, everyone? Woo! Finally got a new piece of gear in. So, when I'm mucking around with all these guitars, I'm going to start doing this under the This Old Axe title, theme, whatever you want to call it. Just so it's easier for people to figure things out. So, and in this case, it's a bass, the bass frequencies. And this here is a Burwood. Focus on Burwood. Yeah, high quality stuff. So, what I'm going to do on this video, I am going to be modding this in the future. For now, I'm just going to set it up and get it going. So part of this video is going to be that. The other thing is just going to show you some tips on what to look for when you're buying used stuff, especially econo stuff like this, that other videos don't talk about. So why did I buy the Burwood? Love that. That's cool. I know this is a budget line. Stumpy Joe, my octave guitar, was built by these guys. This is a 30.5 scale, so a short scale, which is something I've been debating about playing around with. Old dog, this is a new trick, but I want to try it for a couple of things. The other reason's pretty obvious. Yeah, this actually ties for my best score I've ever had at Value Village. I picked up a Blue Olive Badge Ludwig marching snare for the same price. That might ultimately be a little bit better than this is, but I don't know. I kind of dig this. So, and of course this was buried amongst literally 5-6 dozen Guitar Zero controllers, so I'm under no misconceptions. You know, this is what it is. It was probably like a beginner's bass. This is something that was probably sold, you know, department store or something. Kind of like a modern version of Silvertone or Dan Electro or whatever. So why would I buy something like this outside of the bragging rights that it was 15 bucks and short scale, which is what I want? Well, there are things that you need to look for when you're buying guitars, especially budget stuff. And I've noticed videos online, they never talk about this stuff. So I figure my experience, I'll show you folks some things to look for. You know, some of them are obvious, you gotta sight the neck and blah, blah, blah. But there's little telltale signs that you should be looking for on inexpensive instruments like this. And little telltale signs will tell a lot. Okay, I'm trying to shoot this on the workbench and I don't have enough room, but I'll try to explain this. Okay, so first thing you gotta look at, I always find, is hardware. Is a big telltale sign, okay? So, this is Bruce. These are what I refer to as modern skate key tuners. These are crap. If you notice things like tuners look like crap, they probably are. Unfortunately with Bruce, the low E was always mounted wrong, so this is a mahogany neck, so I'm a little leery about boring it out for modern tuners. So, hey, I'll stack them like firewood, because they are firewood. To a lot of people, not to me. This bass that I just got for whopping money, that's, right now I think with the dollar tanking as bad as it is, that's about $3.59 US. They have these enclosed tuners. And these are actually in pretty good looking nick. These tuners are definitely a lot better quality than those things are. The one thing is sometimes they get some backlash to them. Looks don't always tell everything because inside they're built very differently. These feel pretty good, except there is some backlash on the A. Hopefully I can fix that with just mucking with the tuner posts. But these are a modern design. They're not some sort of weird proprietary design, so they're going to be fairly easy to fix off, or swap out, I should say, if I so desire so. Okay, whereas on Steve here, open tuners like this, I personally hate these things because they're just big and heavy and usually not that accurate. But these are workable, which is a huge advantage. You can adjust your tension. Often the little center screw, focus on the center screw, would you? It's usually cheaper metal than anything else around it, so you can swap that out. You know, blow the snot out of these things and they'll work. So when you're looking at bass, especially basses, but guitars too, tuners will tell you a lot because they'll tell you how much work you're going to end up having to put into the stupid things. So with this new one here, the tuners actually look fairly good, so that's a huge plus on it. Okay, now in reverse order, because ironically that's the way it works in this case. Bridges. Obviously something that's more common design is a good way to go to. So this here, it's just an F-style bridge. You know, there's no, probably won't focus in, but there's no little channels for the height set screws to sit in on this particular bridge. It's a fairly inexpensive bridge that's on here. It's not super solid with the saddles, they wiggle a bit. If you notice here, mounted with 5 screws in the back. The new one, again, it's a top load F-style bridge. Again, it's got no little routes on the underside for the set screws to sit in. So it's just relying on string pressure to keep everything side to side, and it'll wiggle depending on what you're doing. But one thing to note on this one, so we got the 5 back screws and 2 front plate screws. So this bridge is actually being held in a lot more solidly than on, if I can do this, Steve there, which only has the back screws. Do those 2 screws make a difference being up here? It may not. It kind of depends on body widths and stuff like that. In the case of both of these, I think this would be a superior bridge to have on a bass like this. And probably can't hear it with Rich Thompson going, but it's vibrating, it's rocking the other bass, so there's good solid connection there. And then ironically on Bruce, he's got the best bridge. So a lot more mass to it, still top load. You can see it's got the little ramps in there for holding your set screws, so this is solid, ain't going anywhere. Got screws here, it's screwed in all over the place. So the screws aren't just all in the back trying to prevent the bridge from lifting off from string pressure. It's evened out all over the place, and it's got bigger saddles on it, which is nice too. So ironically, the one with the crappiest tuners by far has the best bridge on it. Isn't that interesting? You've got okay hardware on this in terms of the tuner and the bridge are okay. If I decide to upgrade them, it's common stuff. I don't have to worry about trying to bore humongous holes where these tuners are. I can just get better quality of these tuners, hopefully drop them in. And then with the bridge, if I decide to upgrade this, that's pretty well a drop in for a lot of F-style bridges. The bridges, really, especially on bass, you gotta watch that. The funniest production bass bridges I've ever seen in Canada, it was a company called Raven, or a brand name called Raven, I guess, distributing cheap Japanese guitars, and they had solid body basses. I am not shitting you here. It was basically like a little plate like this. You had 1 bar for the saddle, and then 1 honkin' screw hooked to that bar with a height adjustment screw on either side. Yeah, that was a good bridge. Holy crow. Okay, this is going to be a pig to shoot, but hopefully it works. So while I was setting the neck, and I'll do that in a bit, it's okay. Needs some setup. I noticed this great big chip here. Now, one of the things that's kind of interesting with budget instruments is to check out chips. And if I can get this thing to zoom in without dropping it, what is that telling you right there? This thing is not a plywood instrument, because obviously we'd have a bunch of plies in there. This is some sort of wood. Judging by the weight, I think it's basswood. Lots of little dings on this, which I like. There's belt buckle rash. This thing was actually played, which is pretty funny, actually. Oh, and there's another ding. Interesting. Um, the reason why solid wood's an advantage when you're dealing with a bass like this is I got enough basses with the split pickup. So down the road, I may be changing the wiring on this. It's is a downsized pick guard. I want to try something, but I gotta get set up on that. When I go to route this thing, it's going to be a lot easier to route through solid wood than it is through plywood, okay? And like I said, zoom in, get close. It vibrates. This is a big trick that a lot of people don't understand. And it's obvious physics here. When you're trying out an instrument like this, especially super budget, put your hand on it and just play the strings and feel how it vibrates. Or if it does vibrate. This thing's vibrating. There's contact being made here. So that's a bonus. You know, things are tight. It means there's a little bit less work I'm going to have to do on it in order to get it to ring out. And, you know, it's just a little extra plus to have. And no, if this was plywood, it's not going to sit there and not vibrate, okay? One big thing to look at, which nobody discussed, someday I'll do a video on this too, is geometry on an instrument, which is a little bit more something you need to look for more on Giamahuis than Efamahuis like this. There's another point of geometry with Efamahui style instruments that I call this 70s-itis. If you ever see the old 70s Fullerton stuff, you saw this a lot, which is a big geometry problem. So the bridge is here, and we go to the neck. Try to get my hand out of the shadow. What is wrong with that picture? That's right. So something's whacked with the geometry on this thing. If we go to the nut, where's the nut? There's a nut. Lots of shadows, I do apologize. That's spaced pretty good. This thing is so tiny at the first fret. That's going to be an issue. But that's out. And yet that's kind of looks right. So basically, either the bridge is mounted too far that way, or the neck is mounted crooked. Is that going to kill me? How much money is there playing up here? Nah, not much. And plus, how much did I pay for this again? Oh yeah. Like less than I paid for supper the other night. So I don't really care about that. Maybe on a guitar you want to be concerned with that. I'd be really concerned if you see the opposite, where the low E is doing stuff like that. I've seen a lot of basses like that. This doesn't concern me much. Those tend to really bug me on things. So then there's the obvious stuff to look at. A million other videos about sighting the neck, just make sure the neck's right, checking the parts. This cover's not mounted right with the pickup, so I'm going to have to play with that. Like I said, I haven't done anything on here. There's like a fur ball. Where's that dust bunny? There's a dust bunny there. I just find that funny too. I find everything about this bass funny. One of the things I find really ironic on this thing is if we look at the finish on here, nice little bit of ripple to it. You know, for a budget bass, that's not a bad stab at a three-tone burst, I gotta say. That's shockingly well done for what it is. And decent looking neck plate. There it is. There's my chin. I have to trim it back a bit. So, debase.